If you've been buying Costco's rotisserie chicken, you need to hear this. Because there's something they'll never put on the label. And once you learn the truth behind that $5 price tag, you may seriously regret ever grabbing it again. Every single year, over 120 million Americans walk through Costco's doors. And let's be honest, most of us have made a straight line to that rotisserie chicken rack. You know the one. Golden, juicy, sizzling, sitting under those heat lamps like the best deal in the store. And look, I've recommended it before. Because honestly, when you see that price, it feels like a total win. Like you just outsmarted the grocery system. But behind that shiny plastic container, there's a side to this chicken that Costco will never talk about. Not the label, not the store, not even most shoppers. And trust me, when we get to item number 1, you'll never look at this chicken the same way again. 5. What's really inside? Most shoppers walk right past that rotisserie chicken thinking, it's just chicken. What could possibly be wrong with it? But the truth hiding beneath that crispy golden skin is something most people never even consider. Because let's be clear, this isn't just chicken. It's chicken, plus a chemical cocktail carefully engineered to look juicy, taste savory, and sit under those heat lamps for hours without drying out. But here's the question nobody asks. What's the real cost of that convenience? Grab that container, if you can even find the label buried somewhere underneath, and take a look. It's not just salt. It's sodium phosphate, modified food starch, carrageenan, sugar, and over 550 milligrams of sodium in just a tiny 3-ounce serving. Let that sink in, less than the size of your palm, and you've already blown through nearly a quarter of your recommended daily sodium. And that's assuming you stop at just one serving, which, let's be honest, nobody does. Now, is it technically dangerous? Not exactly. But let's stop pretending this is some clean, simple, wholesome meal. Because this isn't grandma's home-cooked roast. This is industrial food engineering, designed to survive long hours on a shelf, not to nourish you. So the next time someone shrugs and says, "Come on, it's just rotisserie chicken," you'll know the truth. You can smile and say, "Yeah, not exactly." And trust me. Number 4, you are not ready for this one. Because this is something Costco will never put in the ads. 4. The factory Costco doesn't advertise. Most shoppers like to believe their food comes from somewhere honest. A local farm, a small family supplier, something that feels wholesome, especially when it's sitting there, hot, fresh, and ready. But here's the part nobody talks about. That famous $4.99 rotisserie chicken, it doesn't come from some cozy little farm down the road. Not even close. A few years ago, Costco quietly dropped nearly $500 million, yes, billion with a B, to build one of the largest poultry factories in the entire United States, right in the middle of Nebraska. And they built it with one goal in mind: crank out over 100 million chickens every single year. Why? Simple. To protect that $4.99 price tag. Not for a year, not for a season, but forever. Because when you control the supply, you control the price. But here's where it gets ugly. The part Costco will never put in a commercial. This massive operation has been hit with lawsuits, animal welfare investigations, and waves of backlash from environmental groups and even local communities. We're talking about severe overcrowding, brutal living conditions, factory farm practices that most shoppers would rather never imagine, especially not while tossing that chicken into their cart. And look, from a business standpoint, it's genius. But ethically, that's a whole different story. And trust me, it gets worse. Because number 3 isn't just shocking. It's something every Costco shopper deserves to know. 3. The quality. They don't talk about. Yeah, it smells amazing walking past that chicken rack. Let's be real, Costco knows exactly what they're doing. That smell alone makes it feel like the best $5 you'll ever spend. But here's the part nobody warns you about. The truth hiding underneath that golden, crispy skin. These chickens? They're not raised like the birds your grandparents knew. Not even close. They're bred to grow unnaturally fast. Pumped full of high-calorie, hyper-processed feed. Engineered to go from chick to full-grown in a tiny fraction of the time nature intended. And that rush to mass produce? It comes with consequences. Serious consequences. It's called woody breast. If you've ever bitten into a chicken breast that felt like chewing on a rubber tire, dry, stringy, chewy, borderline impossible to swallow, congratulations. You've met woody breast. And here's the scary part. It's not rare. Recent studies show it's now showing up in more than half of the bulk chickens sold today. Why? Simple. Because these birds are growing too big, too fast, and their muscles literally can't keep up. And the worst part? You won't know until it's sitting on your plate. You slice it open, expecting that juicy, tender bite, and boom, dry, stringy, chewy disappointment. Sometimes it comes out bone dry. Sometimes so salty it's nearly inedible. Other times, weirdly fatty, gummy, mushy, or just off. And nobody tells you that when you're standing at the rack thinking you're scoring a deal. Because here's the hard truth. When the bargain starts tasting like disappointment, when half the meal ends up in the trash, when dinner turns into frustration instead of satisfaction, was it ever really a bargain? Or did you just pay $5 for regret in a plastic container? Listen, if this is opening your eyes, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to Frugal Daily, and tap that bell. Because every single week, we break down the truth behind these so-called deals, helping you shop smarter, spend wiser, and avoid the stuff nobody ever warns you about. And stick around, because number two is sneaky. It's subtle. And it's something almost nobody notices until it's way too late. 2. The hidden freshness problem. Have you ever noticed how that rotisserie chicken feels almost too moist? That weird, slippery, borderline slimy texture when you pull it out of the container? Yeah, you're not imagining it. There's a reason for that. And trust me, it's not because it's fresher. Not even close. It's because that chicken is pumped full of saline solution. Basically, a salty water bath injected straight into the meat. Why? Simple. To keep it looking juicy, plump, shiny, and appetizing while it sits under those heat lamps for hours. But here's the problem nobody talks about. That saline injection? It doesn't just make it look juicy. It completely destroys the texture. What should feel tender ends up rubbery. What should taste like savory roasted chicken turns flat, overly salty, and sometimes weirdly artificial. And here's the part that really stings. It's not just your taste buds getting scammed. It's your wallet. Because when that chicken is pumped full of salty water, guess what? You're paying for part chicken and part liquid. So that $4.99 deal? Yeah, suddenly doesn't feel like such a deal anymore, does it? And let's be honest, soggy, slimy, salty. Disappointment, sealed in a plastic container, is never the goal when you're trying to stretch your grocery budget. Not when you thought you were making a smart choice. But if you think this is bad, nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to what's waiting at number 1. Because this next one, it flips everything you thought you knew about shopping at the meat counter completely upside down. 1. The smart shopper's secret Costco. Never tells you, you made it here, dog, and this is where everything flips. Because while most shoppers are standing there grabbing that shiny $4.99 rotisserie chicken thinking they've hacked the system, the smartest Costco shoppers, they're playing a completely different game. And it starts right at the meat counter, the part of the store almost nobody pays attention to. Here's the secret. Walk straight up and ask for a whole raw rotisserie bird, uncooked, unpackaged, no additives, no chemicals, no saline injections, no mystery moisture hiding under the skin. Just clean, fresh, honest chicken, the way it's supposed to be. The way it used to be before grocery stores figured out how to make you pay for water weight, saline, and a side of disappointment. And here's where it gets even better. It's not just cleaner, not just fresher. It's often cheaper per pound than that famous rotisserie chicken sitting under heat lamps all day. Let that sink in. You control everything. How much salt, how much seasoning, how it's cooked, how it tastes. No soggy skin, no rubbery texture, no weird salty aftertaste, no regrets. That is how smart shopping beats fake deals. Every single time. Because this isn't about spending less. It's about spending smarter. And once you know this secret, you'll never shop the same way again. Look, it's not that it's bad, but you deserve to know the full story before spending your money. Because this isn't about spending less, it's about spending smarter. When you know better, you shop better. Now, tell me down in the comments, what's the worst grocery store product you've ever regretted buying? Be honest, we've all been there. And hey, if you thought this was eye-opening, you seriously need to watch this next video. It's called Never Buy Meat at These 7 Grocery Stores. Here's why. Trust me, some of the names on that list are gonna shock you. Click it now. Keep learning, keep saving, and as always, keep shopping smarter, right here on Frugal Daily.